Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to Children's Church Online. Today we're going to be learning that God is surprising, and therefore we watch for His surprises. And now, here's Miss Ann with your lesson.
Hi everyone, it's Miss Ann. Today I'm going to tell you about how God is surprising. So we should watch for His surprises. And in a minute we're going to read a Bible story that's really surprising. It's surprising to us, and it was surprising to the people in the story as well. But I thought that we would start by sharing a couple surprising facts. So I've looked up a few, and now you'll have these so you can surprise people too. The first one is that an octopus, can you picture an octopus, has 3 hearts. How many hearts do you have, right? Just one? An octopus has 3 hearts. Must be to go with all those legs. Another one I thought was surprising was that butterflies can taste, but they taste with their feet instead of with their mouths. Isn't that interesting? One that I thought was pretty funny was about horses. Do you like horses? I learned that horses can use facial expressions, so picture a horse's face, can use facial expressions to communicate with each other. So maybe when horses are giving each other a look, they're communicating something, if they're excited or worried about something. This might have been my favorite, but it's a little silly. Tell your mom and dad, shh, don't listen to this part. Squirrels can't burp or throw up. Isn't that weird? So if you hear something, you're outside, it was not a squirrel burping. A squirrel cannot burp or throw up. Here's the last one. I thought this one was a good, weird one too. Owls, you mostly see owls at nighttime. Owls don't have eyeballs. They have eye tubes. Isn't that a surprising fact? You want one more about eyes? One more about eyes. Reindeer eyeballs turn blue in the wintertime to help them see at lower light levels. So if you ever catch a reindeer around December, check and see if they have blue eyeballs. So these are some things that are very surprising. Today, we're going to learn that God is surprising, and because He is, we need to watch for these surprising things, okay? We need to be looking for them. Just like I never looked at a butterfly and thought, I wonder if when they're walking around they can taste things with their feet. I wasn't looking for that surprising fact, and so I didn't really notice it. And I have never looked at a horse's facial expressions to see if he was trying to communicate with me. I mean, I'm very surprised by that, okay? In our Bible story today, a knock on the door brought a very big surprise from God. And the Bible's pretty special because it's full of true stories. And a lot of these true stories are really startling, even for your parents or grown-ups who've read it a whole lot. For the people during Bible times, they were really surprising. And they can still be surprising for us today. And that's one reason it's so important to read these stories. Today's story comes from the book of Acts, chapter 12, and I'm going to read a bunch of verses. This goes from 6 to 17, okay? This is about Peter. You remember hearing the name Peter before? Can you think who Peter is? Right, Peter would have been one of the disciples, and Peter's in real trouble in this story. That's not the surprising part, but Peter is in real trouble. When it starts, okay, well, let me start. You'll see what's happening here. This is verse 6. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. So think for a minute. He's going to go to trial. He's sleeping in between 2 soldiers, and he's wearing chains. Where do you think Peter is? Sounds like he's in jail. Okay, that's not the surprising part. But Peter, he's in some trouble. He's in jail. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He, the angel, struck Peter on the side and woke him up. "Quick, get up," he said, and the chains fell off of Peter's wrists. Then the angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals." And Peter did so. "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me," the angel told him. Peter followed him out of the prison. But he had no idea that what the angel was doing was really happening. He thought he was seeing a vision. So he says vision. This is kind of like when something happens to you in a dream, right? Have you ever had a dream where you could do something amazing or something amazing happened to you? You know, you had a dream that you met somebody really cool or that you had some amazing power or something like that. Peter didn't think, hey, an angel just woke me up. Okay, think of how surprising that would be. So he thought, this must be a dream. I fell asleep. So he just does everything, okay? He just goes along with it. He had no idea that this was really happening. They, Peter and the angel, passed the first and second guards, and they came to the iron gate leading to the city. It opened for them by itself. The gate just opened. And they went through it. When they had walked the length of one street, suddenly the angel left him. And then Peter came to himself. So he kind of woke up. And he realized this wasn't a dream. I'm not in the prison anymore, okay? I got out here and I have my cloak and my sandals and I'm out, okay? He came to himself and said, now I know without a doubt that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from Herod's clutches and from everything that the Jewish people were hoping would happen, and they are not good things, right? He's been rescued from all of those things. When this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. And they were praying because they're really worried about Peter. Okay, Peter was in prison and these bad things were probably going to happen. So everyone got together and was praying. Just like if you know someone who's sick or hurt or something, a lot of times people will gather together and they'll pray that God will take care of the person. Okay, that's what was happening at this house, and that's where Peter went. Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant named Rhoda came to answer the door. So he's knocking. She comes up to the door, and when she recognized Peter's voice, he called out. She probably said, who's there, right? Because you don't open the door until you know who's there. Said, who's there? And she recognized Peter's voice. She was so overjoyed that she ran back without opening the door. She left Peter standing there at the door and exclaimed to the people in the house, Peter's at the door. You're out of your mind, the people told her. And she kept insisting it was so, that she heard Peter at the door. And they said, oh, it must be his angel. They thought that Peter had already died and that his angel was coming to visit him. They thought there was no way that this could be Peter. He is in the prison, right? But Peter kept knocking. He's persistent. And when they opened the door, they saw him and they were astonished. Peter motioned with his hand for them to be quiet and described how the Lord had brought him out of prison. Tell James and the other brothers and sisters about this, he said, and then he left for another place. Think of how surprising that would be. The whole story, right? First, we start out with Peter. Peter is so surprised, he figures it's a dream, okay? Imagine if you were in your bed and somebody said, hey, wake up, and it was an angel. Would you be surprised? You would. You would be very surprised, right? And then he knocks on the door, and who hears him? Do you remember her name? Rhoda hears him at the door, and she's surprised, but she believes him. And she goes in to tell the other people in the house, and they say, you must be joking. It can't possibly be Peter. So there are a lot of really startling things here. This is a super important story. So what I want you to do is I want you to help me act it out. We're going to go through, and I want you to do these things with me. So gather whoever you have, okay? You're grown up with you. Everybody, I need you to sit on the floor, and we need to pretend that we're in prison. Right? So how did Peter start out? He was in between two guards. Okay, so if you want to decide, you can make one of you Peter, however many people you have. And if you don't have guards, you can put pillows next to you, right? You're in between two. You do it? Okay, he was also chained. Okay, so if you're next to two people, you can kind of link arms because he's chained there. Okay, if not, you can link your own arms. Okay, you need to be chained there. Story starts out, I'm going to stay chained. You do too. Okay. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound with chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. You're stuck. The angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell, and he struck Peter in the side and woke him up. Wake up. You wake up? Whoa, okay. Quick, get up, he said, and the chains fell off Peter's wrists. Take off your chains. You're free now. Okay, stick with me. So what's the next thing that Peter does? Okay, the angel says, wake up. Now he's got to get ready. The angel says, put on your clothes and sandals. You have your clothes on, so let's pretend. We're going to put on our clothes. Peter's in the cell. Put them on. Put on your sandals. Have your sandals on. You got to get ready to go. Okay, Peter did so. Wrap your cloak around you and follow me. It's like a coat. Okay, so put your coat on. Now you're ready to go. Now you still have the guards, right? They're still there. But Peter followed him out of the prison, so just leave your guards there. He had no idea. They passed by the first guard. They passed by the second guard. Okay, you're gonna make it out. And then they came up to the gate. Do you get to the gate to the city? The gate just opened on its own. Open your gate. There goes your gate. Okay, and they walked down the street, and the angel left him. He doesn't need the angel anymore. Now, Peter, what do you do next? You go to the house where everybody's praying, right? Go to the house. Okay, Peter went down to the house. He went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, where everyone was praying, and he knocked on the door. Knock on the door. Okay, and Rhoda comes up. Rhoda says, "Who's there? Who are you?" "I'm Peter." Okay, and what does Rhoda do? She doesn't open the door. She leaves you, so Peter, you gotta wait at the door. She goes in and she says, "Peter's here," to everybody. Rhoda, do you have a Rhoda? One of you be Rhoda. Okay, there you go. Say, "Peter's here." Everybody else says, "No." But you have to convince them. Say, "No, Peter's really here." Okay, good job. Peter, you're just knocking the whole time, right? Peter keeps knocking. Peter kept on knocking, and when they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. And Peter said, "Tell James and the other brothers and sisters about this." That's pretty amazing. So now that you've acted it out, we've heard it twice, kind of remember. What were the most surprising things that happened to Peter in this story? What do you think? I would say getting woken up by an angel was pretty surprising. Sneaking out of the prison seems pretty surprising. Absolutely. The surprises in this story were really hard to believe. We said that before. Peter thought he was dreaming. The other Christians didn't think it could possibly be Peter knocking on the door. Even when God's surprises are really hard to believe, we know that they're real, okay? Sometimes, and I think this is the tricky part of the story, sometimes we're a lot like the Christians in the story, the people praying in the room, okay? We might pray for something, but we don't always really believe that God is going to answer it. They were praying that God would rescue Peter from prison. And Peter came up to the door and he said, "It's me." And what did they do? They said, "It can't be you. You're in prison," right? They didn't believe it. Sometimes when we pray for something, we don't always really believe that that amazing, surprising thing could really happen. Or God might answer our prayers in ways that we didn't expect. They didn't expect Peter to just walk up to the door. Okay, maybe they expected to hear that Herod had released him or that he would get out several days later, but they didn't expect him to just walk up to the door. So sometimes these answers that we get aren't what we expect. So what I want you to think about this week is praying with expectation. That means with the belief that God is going to answer the prayer. And you can't have like your certain way in mind, okay? We have to have the faith that when we pray to God, that he hears our prayers and that there is an answer. And that answer might be really surprising, okay? So this week we have a game for you to play that talks about things being really surprising. And I'm going to show you what you need. And then we're going to show you a little video for how you can do it at home. Okay, so if you want to do it along with the video, there are a couple things that you're going to need. First, you can do this with any number of people. The video is going to show you with 3 people. But if you have 2 people, it'll work out, and I'll tell you about how. If you have 5 people, it'll work out. I'll tell you how. But what you need right now is you need something to draw on. So you can use paper. I liked a whiteboard because then I could just erase it and start again. So kind of up to you. And you need something that you're going to draw with, okay? And you need some space. So if you want to do it along with the video, get something that you can draw on, something you can draw with, and then watch, and this will tell you how to do it.
Okay, so remember, the lesson for today is that God is surprising. So we're going to do a quick game that can be really surprising. We're going to do it with 3 people. 1, 2, 3. But you can do it with 2, you can do it with 4 or 5. So you need to sit all in a row so you're all facing the same direction.
As many as you have.
Okay, the person in the front needs to have a piece of paper. I'm using a whiteboard so I can erase it. A piece of paper or a whiteboard, something to draw with. Next person just needs their finger. And the person behind them needs some ideas of things to draw. So you'll see that our last person wrote down their ideas. but you can just whisper too. So this is how it works. Person in the back of the line is gonna whisper what to draw to the middle person. So go ahead, whisper or show him the card. Well, what should he draw?
Okay.
Person behind me, that's Harvey, is gonna draw the picture on my back. And I have to try to draw it on my piece of paper
By feeling it.
by feeling it. Now I was giving directions, so can you draw it one more time?
Okay.
Walt, what was the card?
What was the card, Walter?
Flower.
And we have...
Not so bad. All right, let's try just one more so you can see how it works. Watch each step of how we go through, okay? Show one more one.
Okay. See what she does.
I have no idea.
Wait until you see what she comes
Will you
up
do
with.
it one more time?
Fine.
I have no idea. Okay, there were definite like legs. Smiley thing. It's just-
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
I don't suppose that's what you drew, was it?
So not. Let me.
Walter, what did you say?
Bike.
A bike. Wow, wasn't that surprising? So, you give it a shot. It could be a very odd bike. And see what surprising things you draw.
That was really cool, right? Don't laugh too much at the drawing. I did pretty well on the flower. It probably was a bicycle. I didn't know. So, what if you don't have 3 people that you can do it with? If there are just 2 of you that are playing the game, what I suggest is the person who's finger drawing, you just pick the things that you want to finger draw, okay? You don't have to have somebody behind you telling you the things, okay? You just pick and you do the finger drawing and take turns, right? You can switch so that maybe I could have been the person at the back of the line and let one of the boys draw. So you can take turns. But what if I have 5 people? How do I do it? Well, what you do is you have more finger drawers, right? Okay, so put your person in the front who's gonna do the drawing, put the person at the back who's gonna pick the thing, and then everybody in between is a finger drawer. Okay, so pretend if I added one person behind Walter. He was the little one with the cards, okay? That person could tell Walter, hey, draw a flower. Walter could take his finger, draw a flower on Harvey's back. Harvey could feel what was happening. Harvey could use his finger to draw a flower on my back, and then I could try to draw it on the paper. So it makes it a little trickier, but I bet that you'll have some good drawings anyway, okay? When you try the game this week, I want you to remember the point of our story is that God is so surprising. And so when we put our faith in him and we pray to him for the answers, we have to look for those things that are surprising and unexpected because we know that the answers will be there. I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks so much.